Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where we discover the communities that are making a difference in the lives of others. Our self-discovery is something we are all making on our life's journey. Here you will find the people that will be your guidance, that will be your inspiration, that will be there for you in support on your journey of life. Do enjoy. Our next show is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Ignite Your Heart and Soul with me, Sarah Troy, and my guest, Brenda Michaels, right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. She wrote a book called The Gift of Cancer, a miraculous journey to healing. But we're also going to be talking about today her Conscious Talk radio show that she does with her husband. And we're also going to be talking about the times, where we are right now, what is really happening, what can we do, where's the empowerment, and boy, is that conversation going to get deep, folks. So put your feet up, grab your mug of coffee or a glass of wine, because we're really going to take you on a journey today. She's inspiring, insightful, and passionate communicator. Through her work as a syndicated talk show host on Conscious Talk Radio, she's a public speaker, a workshop leader, an author of several articles on women's health issues, an animal activist, a spiritual emotional coach and healer, a former author, writer for Sibyl Magazine, and a member of the advisory board for the Emerald Heart Cancer Foundation. Brenda's leadership is raising awareness to true demonstration of her commitment to living upon this planet as a conscious being. Conscious being, folks. That is the real point here. Conscious being. Are we living in our consciousness? Are we being awakened at the present moment? As I've said on every single show I've done this year, the universe is waking us up to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up and change it up. This is the invitation for us to step up right now, because we know what's going on is wrong. Isn't it, Brenda? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. So happy to be here with you today. And yes, you made a huge point there. This is the point, to raise our level of consciousness, to open our hearts fully, because we're at such a choice point on this planet right now. Are we going to go backward? Are we going to stay in the energy that is quickly dissolving and going away? Or are we going to step it up into the new energy that is being offered and raise our awareness, our consciousness to meet that new energy? And then if we do, so many things are possible and so many things are doable.
Doable. I have another saying, actionism is the new activism. Activism is ranting and raving about what's wrong. Actionism is doing something about it. And raising our consciousness, raising our vibration is taking action, isn't it?
It is. And you make such a good point there. And I just want to kind of hone in on that point a little bit about that, taking the action. We have to really understand what our intention is within that action, because we can take all sorts of actions. We can take actions that are negative, and we can contribute to that energy that is out there. We can actually feed that energy, or we can take action in a higher vibration, which is the intention of the highest good for all. And it makes such a difference that we are aware of what is your intention for the action that you're willing to take.
Yes, because it's not about the pitchfork. It's not about the riotous. It's about the movement that needs to move forward, the gathering of each other, the arm in arm. Peace isn't out there. Peace lies within us. We've got to bring it out.
Yes.
Right? We are the peace that we seek. And if we see these tumultuous times as they are right now, and, never mind what the planet is doing to us, with COVID, with the fires, with the floods, with the earthquakes, with hurricanes. I mean, Mama Earth is just letting us know that she does not appreciate the way we treat her. But now we've got the political unrest, the denial that COVID even exists, and the fight against masks, and the total divide that's going on. And where this is the time that we should be all coming together, but you can't come together if you are angry, if you are bitter, if you are twisted, because that energy is not the energy we need to rise up in. We need to rise up from that energy. So while we're looking to rise up, we have to really ask ourselves, in which energy do I wish to rise up in?
Yes, and that's the choice point. Which energy are you going to carry forward in your life? And you and I discussed this before, Sarah, about the resistance.
Yes. It is futile.
Yes,
Don't you heard the Borg?
And when we live in resistance, we actually contribute to that negativity out there. Resistance is always going to hold us back and keep us stuck in the mud, in the same cycle that we've been in before. And then, of course, the conditioned ego, because we need ego. There's nothing wrong with ego, but we've all had our egos conditioned culturally in a certain way, and that conditioned ego will feed up different things, think of different things you can do and say, but it never solves a problem, because the conditioned ego is part of the problem.
Yeah.
It is in the old ways. It is in the resistance. And so when you're living from that place, you're just going to feed the beast, so to speak.
Yeah.
And even though you might have some great ideas, you can't move forward yourself, and you can't move the planet forward in that stuck energy. It simply doesn't work, and that's part of that insanity piece. We continue to do the same thing over and over and over, and we expect different results. That's insanity, because it's not possible.
It's been proven that it's not possible. I mean, all you're doing is stuck in molasses with a whole load of glue in it. You know, you just can't move forward. You know, this is why we ask people to take a breath. Just stop. Take a breath. There is so much going on around you, so much going on in your head, so much going on in your heart. And your soul is busy trying to speak to you, and you cannot hear anything for the static that is happening. So you need to take a breath. You need to just find a place to be still, to be in the silence. And then, the clarity will come to you in that moment. And I'm not talking about just cross-legged meditation. It could be a walk in nature. It could be a drive. Whatever you need to do to remove yourself from the noise around you and that static negative energy. Because, if you're around it, you're going to become it. And you have to remove yourself from it. But remove yourself from it in a place where you are allowing your soul and your heart and your spirit to have its voice, to be heard, to allow you to see what the way out is. But please remove yourself from the negativity around you before it swallows you up.
Well, you're making another good point there. And I would like your audience to consider that when you are in that place of allowing, and that's not an easy move for a lot of people, because I'm going to go back to the point of the conditioned ego. The conditioned ego loves two things. It loves agreement, and it loves to be right. And so if you're surrounding yourself with people and they're agreeing, you're all in agreement that we need to raise consciousness and move forward, you're on the right track. But if you're in that group that is complaining and wants to be right that you've been wronged, that victim energy, that's all that is. That's part of the conditioned ego, that somehow you have been victimized. It's only possible to become a victim, if you will, if on some level you're agreeing to that. And I'm not saying that's a conscious choice. That's a deeply unconscious choice. But once you realize that your life is not working and you're pointing the finger and wanting to blame everyone else for why it's not working, when you come to that awareness is when you can shift that awareness and know that you're the one saying yes to it on some level. And what are you getting out of that? What are you getting from that to be a victim? What is it giving you? You need to know. You need to look at that. What am I getting from this? What is it serving in me? in order to move that along? Those are the questions in that quiet space that we want to ask our spirit. How am I being served by this? Help me to know and understand so I can release it.
Yes, and you can't ask that in the turmoil.
No.
We're very good at pointing fingers because it's always got to be somebody else's fault. And as we're pointing one finger, there's three pointing back at us. And it doesn't mean necessarily you're at fault or anybody's at fault. It's just that everybody's got caught in a tornado of discontent and looking for someone to blame. And the victimization is when woe is me, and a lot of people play the victim because they like the attention they get. And some people stay in the victimization because they have absolutely no idea how to get out of it,
Right.
how to let go of it.
Yes.
No matter which it is, you have to come out of it. And being around people that are, I'm going to say the word shoot instead of something else, shoot stirrers. You need to get out of that environment because nothing is resolved in there at all.
Right.
And you're not going to hear any answers whatsoever amongst that, which means don't watch the news, don't read the papers, don't go on the social medias that are stirring things up, because it's going to get your goat, you're going to get riled up, and that's going to bring out the anger in you, and that's not what we want, because you can't resolve things in anger.
Right. And what's interesting about that too is, the people there are people that say, well, I'm curious about what's going on out there. Well, I understand curiosity.
Yes.
But when you're curious with the negative side of things, instead of curious about the good things that are happening, curious about what we can do as opposed to what we're not doing, that's the conditioned ego. You're still staying stuck in that energy regardless. Think about that before you make that, oh, I'm so curious about that. Why are you so attracted to that side of life?
And what is it about the train wreck that you are so eager to see? Yeah.
Yes. Or how traffic slows down on a freeway at an accident, and everybody's gawking at it. What in you? What in you? And that's all. And only you can answer it. But you have to be willing to ask the question. Why am I so curious about this? What in me is missing? What do I need to resolve or release or step into that can shift that perspective for me?
Yeah.
What can I do to do that? You have to be willing to ask those questions. And you mentioned about stepping out of it. There is so much help out there these days for people to release and let go and move in another direction and move up their consciousness. There really is so much help out there. People don't have real excuses for not doing it.
No. I've probably got at least 2,000 coaches on my network here on Self-Discovery Media of people. And the reason I have them on is not because they're so much book learned. They've gone through the process.
Yes.
If they face their own either cosmic 2x4 or their own challenge or their own redirect in life, and they were willing to go through the process, discover their strength, discover their courage, discover their abilities, and be willing to step up and explore and allow, that transition to happen into who they are today, doing what they're doing, serving others and igniting others into their own calling. And there is no better thing in the world, isn't it, to ignite somebody else's soul, heart, and spirit into being.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to inspire others and to see their progress, it just fills your heart.
Yeah. It absolutely does, because you're not just seeing a light bulb come on in their heads, because the head's very often the last one to receive it, but just when you can see that connection, that they're listening to the soul, it's resonating with the heart, it's putting their spirit into action, and their mind will know what it needs to know when they need to know it. That trust, that knowingness, and when they step into that, there's a calmness about them.
Oh, yes.
Right? A fluidity of beautiful air and rippled water and shaking leaves. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. And can we just talk about money for a moment? Because a lot of people will stop themselves
Yeah.
or hesitate because of the money.
Yeah.
Their reason for not moving forward is money. We use money on this planet as a weapon.
Yeah.
Either we control people with our money, or we find ourselves in that place of lacking money. We believe we lack anything, which is not true. We totally do not lack anything. And when you are filled with spirit from the inside, that particular energy attracts like a magnet all the good things. Everything you need comes to you. And I just want to give an example, and I wrote about this in my book, The Gift of Cancer, because a big part of my life when I got sick was I lived in tremendous lack. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just money I lacked.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I was lacking a lot of things. And what I learned going through the cancer, and this was really, the cancer was my healing, basically.
Yes, yes.
It is what helped me heal my life. And I came out of that and looked back at that and was like, oh my goodness, I had such a deep belief that I lacked that I literally created the lack in my life. I brought to me from that strong belief and the emotion behind that belief, I magnetized right to me everything that proved that I lived in lack. And we do not live in lack. We can't possibly live in lack because we are spiritual beings. And as spirit, we are everything. We have everything we need inside. But that goes back to that point of being quiet and still and asking the questions and resourcing people that can help. So if you're one of those out there listening and you're not stepping forward because you're using money as the consideration for not moving forward, I'm going to encourage you to look at that belief in lack.
Yes.
Because that belief is what is holding you back. That belief needs to be up-leveled, if you will, to the truth of who you are. And I know a lot of people out there that work, Sarah, they work and they will, if you can't afford to pay it all, they'll let you pay so much at a time. There's ways of making that happen.
Yeah. When
you're committed enough, you will bring to you what you need in order to make it happen.
Precisely. And the thing is, if somebody is that coach, that counselor, that nurturer, that is truly enriched in the work that they will do, they will always give you a money plan. If they're in it, that the big money's got to be up front, then it's not coming from that consciousness, right? It's driven by the money. I consider myself a very enriched and abundant person. Now, my bank account won't tell you that, but my heart and soul will.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So, this thing about money, and yes, gosh, do we need it? Absolutely. We're still in a human body and we've got to provide for that. Also, the more money you have, the more you can actually do for other people. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of money. It is a wonderful tool. But to be defined by money, either in poverty or enriched. I don't know how many people I've interviewed, which I'm sure you have as well, that were CEOs that owned their own company, or doctors, top of their game, making a whole load of money, fast cars, big houses, this, that, etc., who felt completely life poor. They didn't have time to enjoy life. They were a slave to their work, to maintaining those riches that they didn't even have time to enjoy. And each one of them, through some reason, either it was health, cosmic 2x4, or walk away, they walked away from that life and lived a more simple life. And now they truly do feel enriched.
Yes, and they're fulfilled because they were empty. You can have all the money in the world around you and be completely empty because you're not connected to the truth of who you are. You're not connected to your soul, the person, the spirit that animates these bodies. We're not just these bodies. We are truly the spirit that animates the body. The body's in service to spirit, not the other way around. but we have turned it around and we've made ourselves in service to our bodies, enslaved to our jobs, our monies, those type of things that have taken us out of who we really are. And therefore, we've defined who we are based on what's outside of us in the world instead of based on who we are in the inner landscape of our lives.
Yes, in the inner abundance of who we really are.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
cancer has been proven to be an 80% emotional disease.
Yes.
Right? 20% environment or diet or, other circumstances, but 80%. And when I've done a lot of cancer shows, and every one of them will say the discontent or disconnect from myself, the chasing happiness outside and feeling so totally empty inside is what brought the cancer on. And it's only when they stepped into love and caring of themselves, in the true nurturing of themselves, did they realize what was missing within them and that they could cure their own cancer.
Yes, absolutely. And it's been proven over and over and over and over again, even though it's not brought out in the media, even though in the medical model it is dismissed as instantaneous healing, that type of thing, spontaneous healing. But it's been proven over and over again that people literally can heal. When you heal yourself, your body will respond.
I got a very interesting little snide story here of somebody I interviewed who's her brother and her mother died from cancer, and so both of them were very conscious that they didn't want to go down that road, right? She went into aromatherapies and natural stuff, and he owned part of the Lakers. And they both got cancer at the same time, different cancers, but cancer at the same time. And she was quite shocked. I've chosen a healthy life. And she decided to go by the way of the two feathers, which was just a kind of a cream that you put on. And she brought out 18 growths from her body. And became cancer-free, and the doctor still said, no, I want to remove your breasts, even though she produced the tumors to them. And the brother, who afforded the best doctors that could be around, they did one operation which they screwed up and did another 3 and killed him.
Yeah.
Right? So it's, it is... We've got to understand, and this is not a knock on doctors. They're doing the best they can with the knowledge they have. But if you are not paying attention to the heart and the soul and the spirit and the mind disconnect, if you're not attending to the whole of the person, how can you cure the one thing? Because the one thing is a part of the whole.
Well, and a big part of the equation is giving your power over. When you completely give your power over to, let's say, the medical model, that the doctor's going to take care of you, your doctor makes most of the decisions, your doctor really decides the protocol and offers it up in such a way that you're terrified if you don't do it. The big point is when you are your own authority, we are our own authority. We just don't know it because we don't know ourselves. We don't know who we really are. We don't know our true power, whether we're creating a lot of victim circumstances in our lives or we're creating higher level, more joyful experiences in our lives. We are our own authority. We are powerful, co-creative beings. And when you surrender over your power for any reason, to anyone other than yourself and your spirit and your God, the God of us, then you are putting yourself at risk. You have to step into your own power and become empowered through your spirit, through that divine connection. We're divine beings. That's why we're so powerful. And we can create as much good as we've created as much negativity. This whole planet could turn around in a heartbeat if we all awakened. If enough of us awakened at the same time, it would be like bleep, and things would shift gracefully, beautifully.
And the thing is, once you turn that volume up, and I believe that the universe has been turning the volume up on us since
Oh
2012.
yes.
You
Oh
know,
yes.
it's just that slow hand on the knob, just keep turning, turning, now and again turn up a lot, or keep it
Yes.
at a steady pace. And it's, for some people, it's just like, I don't know what's pulling me forward, or why this is opening up. But, I can't live the life the way I've been living. And so it is that awakening that is happening. And, people are stepping away from the third dimensional living onto the fourth dimensional bridge, to step into the fifth dimension of purpose and
Yes.
higher.
Yes. Yes.
I believe that the bridge is broken away from the third dimension now, and that if
Mhm.
you aren't on it, you're left behind,
Yes.
and you cannot function in this higher realm. You can't, because
That's right.
the hate, the amount of energy that it takes to hate, to blame, to kill, that kind of energy is so encompassing. And when you go to the other extreme of the higher energy and the higher energy plane, it really, you become part of the flow of life. You become part of the collective. You are an instrument in the orchestra of life. And
Yes.
you have to play harmoniously. And
Yes.
the two are, it's oil and water. It just doesn't mix.
Yes. You can't take your baggage.
No,
You cannot take your baggage into this new energy,
no,
people. It isn't going to work.
no.
And that's why you need to heal and release the old baggage now more than ever. If you make one choice in your life now, make that choice. That's the choice that's going to save you. That's the choice that's going to save all of us.
Yes.
That's the choice that's going to save the planet. And I believe the planet will be here long after we're gone if humanity becomes extinct because it didn't wake up, because it literally, killed itself. Humanity took itself off the planet. I believe the planet will survive, but we won't if we don't change, if we don't make a new choice. And to be living in apathy, or to be living in fear, or to be stuck in the mud, or to be living in blame and hatred and righteousness, self-righteousness, you're on the wrong side of the energies right now.
Yes.
Because the energies that have become available on the planet are very high resonating energies, giving us all sorts of opportunities, and including the fires and the COVID-19.
Yep.
These are truly opportunities for us to make that choice now.
Where in the history of time has every country at the same time gone through a pandemic or anything collectively? Right?
Yes.
This is the wake-up call.
Yes.
This is the shake-up at the present moment. And when we were in the early stages and everybody was on lockdown, look how this planet thrived.
Oh, yes.
The animals came out, dolphins swimming in Venice, the ozone closing up. This is Mama Earth saying to us, look, we can do very well without you, mate. Consider this a
Yes.
warning, because next time may be the delete button.
Yep. And it can happen.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a possibility in a field of many, many, many possibilities. We just have to be willing to get on the train
Yeah.
that is moving forward into a new, higher level of consciousness. And if you're not living in the consciousness of the highest good for all, you're not on that train. And as you said earlier, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Yes. And do you want to be left behind? Do you really want to be a part of this constant tornado?
Yes.
How can you think straight when you're just being swirled around? Hate begets hate, anger begets anger. Ill health comes from immune breakdown. The immune break comes down from disconnect emotionally, spiritually. And if you step into this constant riotous frame of mind, then you are opening up the doors to the dis-ease and the disease, not only of the mind, the heart, and the soul, but of the body. and there's another tornado for you to be swirling around when you could have avoided that and risen above and said, I'm not going to be a part. Now, that doesn't mean you are abstaining from choices. It doesn't mean that you can state that you feel something is wrong or that you have an opinion. But what you're not doing, you're doing it from an observation of what we can do instead of pointing the finger and, machete everybody, for it, because an eye for an eye just makes everybody blind.
Yes,
Why
there
don't
you
we
go.
open each other's eyes?
Yes.
Learn to
And
see the other perspectives.
Feeding that same old energy, if you're feeding that same old energy, then that is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You are going to get what you feed. If you feed
Yes.
negativity, if you feed depression, if you feed any of those things, that's what you're going to continue to get. The universe is a huge mirror, and it mirrors back to you exactly what you put out there. So it is saying to you, if you're putting that out there, it's giving it right back to you because
Right.
it's saying, oh, they want more of that.
Yes, exactly. It's be careful what you ask for.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And to be in apathy or indecision, any of those points,
Abstaining from any,
Yes.
burying your head in the sand. Yeah.
yes, denying, burying your head in the sand, insisting on being right
Yes.
about something instead of opening your eyes, your ears, and your heart to listen and then make a decision, and you make an informed decision from your heart,
Yes.
from your connection, not from, facts. Facts are great. They can back up. But you have to make that decision from a higher level of consciousness, from a higher place within you, in order to make the right decision for you.
100%. And the thing is, when you're looking at a fact, again, I'm a true colors coach. It's the 4 key personality traits. You're looking at a fact from a perception.
Yes.
Now, if you turn it around, is that fact still, agreed on all 4 perceptions? Because then I could say it's a valid fact, right? But
Right.
if it's just one person's opinion and then called a fact, and the other 3 disagree, then therefore it's not a fact.
Right.
Right? Are we getting our information and it's getting stuck in our head? And our head is designed to constantly ask why. Yes, but what if? Yes, but what if? Now, when you bring your soul and your heart into the equation and its intellect and feel your knowledge, you will understand what those facts or that knowledge is in your head and as it pertains to the question right now. It will give
Absolutely.
you your answer. But, we've become very intellectual or academic creatures. And the academia does not allow you to step into the intellect of the heart, soul, and spirit.
Yes.
Right?
The higher energy.
The higher energy,
Yes.
the higher plane of consciousness. When you bring all of it in together, and you've got all of it in succinctness, my God, the clarity you have. And as I call it, the knowingness. I know what I need to know when I need to know it. And I don't need to understand why or how I know it.
Yes, absolutely. We don't need to know so many times, and I went through this going through the healing process of healing the cancer that I had. So many times, my mind, my conditioned ego, my conditioned part of me wanted to know how and why. When I realized I didn't need to know how, I would be shown.
Yes.
And I didn't need to know why, because then I was in resistance to what is. And when we live in resistance to what is, we struggle, we suffer. When I learned that, when I realized that, when I had those aha moments, it shifted everything for me. Just those small aha moments would shift me in ways I can't even explain.
Yeah.
As a culture, we are completely conditioned to focus upon the problem.
Right.
We're fascinated with the problem.
Yes.
And so you really want to ask yourself, what are you really fascinated with? Are you fascinated on solutions, even if you don't have one, is your fascination and curiosity there? Because that's the field of possibilities that are open. Or is your fascination stuck on the problem and being right about it, and that everybody else is wrong, or being right that somebody else is wrong, or being right that something's wrong, and you just have to be right about that, and you're stuck there. So where are you fascinated in your life?
Yes. What are you feeding?
Yes.
You know, again, on these shows, we'll present a problem. But if there is not going to be a solution to it, the show is not going to air.
That's right.
Because, you know, we're about the possibilities. We're about the wonderful opportunities even that COVID has given us right now. I mean, you know, to all the people who have lost, no, this is not, you know, something that they want to pay the price for. But everybody has their journey. Everybody's signed their contract before they even came here. But this is the wake-up call for us. This is the opportunity for us to pause in our life. And I don't know about you on your shows, but I know I've interviewed so many people that have literally, well, I retired from one job and now all of a sudden I'm in demand doing something else. Because I stepped up because there was a need, and now I'm immersed in that need. And all of them have said, I've stepped into being, I had no time to be me. And this has given me time to be me and do what I really love. And in doing what I really love, I'm serving more people.
Yes. Once you start feeding your soul what it's really asking for, you can't help but benefit everybody around you. It's just part of how it is, because we are all connected, all of us.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter your nationality, your color, your age, none of that matters. What matters is we are connected. And when we are connected, when you're truly connected to the soul, then it always benefits others in such beautiful, gracious ways.
Yes.
It just makes my heart sing to know that I'm in service that way in the world today.
Yeah.
Doing the radio show, doing our coaching and healing work, working with animals as well. This is what makes my soul and heart sing. And it's a great service to do that, but I'm benefiting in ways I can't even imagine.
Right.
I mean, it's just been amazing.
Your payment, right?
Yes.
I mean, yes, you need the cold hard cash to keep things going, but the payment that we're getting, it just, the way the heart gets full, knowing that you've helped someone, and just seeing that change in them, seeing the change of energy in them, seeing the aha moments, seeing that, oh, it is possible. I am possible. I am enough. And just seeing all of that is just so, you know, like
I know.
heartwarming. And, you know, I think at the present moment, our children, our indigo children, and our animal kingdom is teaching us how to be humane. You're seeing animals come together, that the species should be enemies, and they're not. They're there in compassion for one another. They're serving and saving one another. And you see children come together, black, white, pink, yellow, polka dot. They don't see the color. They're ignited by the joy of each other, by the energies, the purity of each other. We teach them to be racist. We teach them to hate. We teach them that they should judge people by their color or their economics or their education or their sexual preference. We teach that. And we've got to look at what have these teachings done but divide and bring forth hate and tell people they're not enough or there's something wrong with them, that they're broken. And what has that done to society? It has completely put forth a nation of people around the world who live in fear, who live in lack, who live in a loathing of self, because society has told them that unless they fit this perfect little white box, they're nothing.
Absolutely. And that's that conditioned ego side of the self, that there is a level of insanity there. And that's the only word I can use for it, is a level of, it's insane.
Well,
it's
there's no rational to it, is
to live.
It is. Who does it benefit, though? I mean,
and we're seeing it play out on the planet right now, the level of insanity that is creating the chaos. And think about the fires.
Yes.
If you're thinking about looking at it as a symbol or a reflection of us, which it is, by the way, look at the fires, the intensity of the burning of these fires today. They've never been more intense. Well, look at the intensity of the hatred and self-loathing on the planet, and the anger and the rage. And look at those fires. Who do you think is fueling those fires? What is fueling those fires? We are with that level of consciousness.
Right. And you know that a lot of people like to go barefoot onto the ground to ground themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and to give it to the earth. Well, the earth is saying, I don't want your crap anymore. Sort it out yourself, you know.
Right.
And I literally cannot put my feet down on the earth barefoot. I can feel the discontent. I can feel the pain.
The pain
That Mother Earth is going through. Of course, as an empath, I can feel the pain other people are going through. So,
of course.
You know, we have chosen this pain by trying to live up to these expectations that are just an illusion.
Yes.
And we've got to, you know, pull the curtains back and, you know, and see that the Oz is behind the curtains.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, and we could go home at any time, which is home to self. You know, just click your heels. We are the peace we seek. We are the solution we seek. We are the answer the world seeks. But we've just got to find the strength and the courage and the knowledge to step into that.
Yeah.
And that means we need to surrender.
And if you don't know how, I would just like to put this forth. If you are living in the how do I do that?
Yes.
How do I change? How do I live in that higher energy? If you need to, get on your hands and knees and ask God to help you. Ask your spirit, ask God, ask the goddess, whoever you understand to be of that higher, unconditional love and nature. Ask for help.
Yeah.
When you truly desire it, when you really have had enough and you're really ready to let it go, I guarantee you the help is there, but you have to open the door. You are the guard at your own gate.
Yes.
There's no one else standing at that gate and keeping you out but you.
Well, you said it before. The universe will give you what you ask for.
Yes.
And if you ask the universe for peace, for an equilibrium within yourself, to understand what your beautiful instrument is, to open up and say, show me, please show me, I am yours, I surrender, please show me who I am and what I'm here to do.
Yes.
And just allow yourself then to be taken down the road in trust, in faith. Step out into the abyss, blind, deaf, and dumb, in order to see, hear, and feel.
Yes. Yep.
You have to relinquish control. You have to understand any form of control there is no control. In the allowing in faith, whether it is God, universe, or spirit, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a higher energy that you are praying to.
Yes.
Surrender to it in trust, and say, I'm yours. I desire to feel more abundant and more useful and more productive in my own life. And allow it to present to you a path that will lead you to that. Now, you've got to participate in it.
Yes,
it's
you have
not
to be
a question.
Willing to walk that path.
Exactly. It's not an Amazon delivery. This is a path be given to you, and you may have to be beating back the bushes in order to create that path. But there is always a reason behind it, because what feels difficult at first will reveal the wonders along that journey, the people that you need for the wisdom, for the knowledge, for the guidance along the way. But if you're not open to receiving it, if your ego or your control is still holding you back, or your victimization, you cannot walk this path. You have to surrender.
And if you are afraid, because fear will come up in that resistance, if you are afraid, just say, I am afraid. I'm afraid. Help me. Help this to be an easy, more graceful path for me because I'm in terrible fear right now.
Right.
Take that fear from me, take it from me, and help me to walk this path. The help is there.
Yes.
We have to surrender to it. And trust and faith are the two key words there for sure.
Yes.
You have to be willing to walk in faith, do whatever it takes. Be willing to do whatever it takes and ask for help. Ask, ask, ask. I can't offer that up enough to people. We do not ask for guidance. We do not ask for help. We do not ask for what we need because we don't believe we deserve it. But we do. We're divine beings regardless of personality and the actions that we've taken. We are still divine beings and we are worthy because of that.
Yes. And when you step into that worthiness and go, well, why not me? Why not
Yes.
me? Please don't look at past decisions or
No.
past mistakes. You did what you did at that time based on the knowledge or the feeling of that emotion in that time. Don't beat yourself up for the past. It is the decision that you make today. I will forgive my past transactions, and I wish to walk forward in a clearer light.
Yes. You have to be willing to just let it go and understand you did the best you could with what you said, the knowledge and the emotion of that time. And that time is gone.
Yes. Stop
Learn
reliving
from
it.
that and carry that forward.
Yeah. Don't keep beating yourself up. Right? You know, it's,
Yes.
oh, I did this and I hurt that person. Well, you hurt that person at that time. Did you do it deliberately? Was it vindictively? Do you know that that is wrong? Who did it hurt? It hurt you because you're in torture of it now. Right? So ask for forgiveness. Ask for forgiveness for those past mistakes, if you wish to call them, because we all make them. There isn't anybody on this planet that hasn't made a mistake somewhere along the line.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right? But is it a mistake if you learn from it? You know, this is the whole point. I did X, Y, and Z, but I have learned that X, Y, and Z is wrong and that it hurt that person and it hurt me. Am I going to do the same thing in the future? No, because I've learned from that lesson and I now know to take a different path. Learn from things.
Yes, absolutely. That is the only way.
Yeah.
That is truly the only way. You have to be forgiving of yourself and others. You have to live in that energy, in that beautiful, that's what grace is.
Yes. Oh,
grace
I love that
is
word.
being able to forgive ourselves, the world, each other. That's what grace is, and you bring that grace right into your life when you live from that heartfelt path of forgiveness.
Yes. Yes. And, you know, the older you are, there's perhaps more to forgive because, again, we were creatures of our environment, of our upbringing. How many people who have gone through abuse, mental, physical, emotional abuse, only to say, I'll never do that to my children, but to repeat the pattern again. Because it's all they know. They didn't step outside of that treadmill, out of that programming. You knew it was wrong. You hated it being done to you. But unless you were consciously willing to delete that program and insert a different one, you're going to repeat it on a subconscious level.
Yes. Yeah, and we see it all the time.
Yes, we do.
We see it all the time, and it doesn't have to be that way. And in fact, in these new energies, it's not allowed. It's not even something that's accepted.
Right.
It's not acceptable in the new energy. You cannot step into this new energy, folks, with your old baggage.
Right.
Please understand that one.
That's what the fourth dimension is about. Yeah.
To set it down and release yourself from it through that forgiveness piece and learning or remembering to love yourself and love others.
I mean, that's really as corny as it is. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about love.
Yeah.
Love is the highest vibration you will ever feel in life. And the more you love, the more you give of love, the more you receive of love, and the more that love is spread around, the higher the frequency and the vibration, and higher the healing and the
Oh,
growth and the
yes.
productivity and the creativity is. But we can't go out there, we go out there looking for someone to love us, to fix us, to complete us, to mend our broken hearts. We've got to do that for ourselves. If
Yes.
you don't love yourself, how can someone else love you? Because they're going to love you in the light that you give.
That's right. It's a reflection.
It is.
It's another reflection.
It is.
You're going to get that reflected back on some level. And as soon as the newness wears off and the reality sets in for most people, that's when the problems start to arise, because you were totally in denial of them when you were in that first love phase.
Yes.
But once that as they say,
the honeymoon is over.
bloom is off the rose. The bloom is off the rose, and reality sets in. You are sitting across from someone who's mirroring what's inside of you, and they're sitting across someone that's mirroring what's inside of them.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done the work, you are going to have problems, because that's when the conditioned ego is going to raise its ugly head and look at you as the other, not as look at you as part of them, but as the other. And when you start looking at people as the other, you start looking at what's wrong with them, and really it's all happening in you.
Yes.
And reflecting back to you from them, but then you're blaming them, and that's where the trouble starts. And that's that old energy, that's third dimensional reality that is fading. It's gone, basically.
Right. Well,
And
those
we're
two
living in a
negatives,
higher energy.
right? Those two negatives come back to each other. I mean, they're not there to heal each other, but perhaps they're there to reveal your own disconnect and your own discontent with life. And, it is time for you to move on, because this is, and you've also got many a time a couple where somebody goes on that, self-discovery journey and steps into it, and the spouse is left behind. You can't take them with you if they're unwilling to go. This is their journey, their choice. Don't get held back because they're unwilling to take the journey. You owe it to yourself, and let's be absolutely clear. You owe it to humanity and to the planet to rise up. This is not just for you. It is for you to be in a higher energy, which is healing and harmonious to this planet and to this universe. It is the frequency that we are meant to live on. And we've lived as barbarians now for thousands of years.
Yes, we have.
It is time to wake up and to understand that hate and war and killing is not the answer.
And it never will be.
Never. If it hasn't been proven now in the thousands of years of killing each other, then what, right?
Well, those energies match each other. So if you're living with hate and war and resistance and those particular energies, then that's what you're going to be getting back at you. And so it just keeps it going from generation to generation. Hate begets hate.
Yes.
War begets war. Peace begets peace.
And the one thing we do know is, we talked about rational, that word, what is rational? Right now, we're not seeing any rational thinking or rational anything out there in the world. We're seeing hysteria, people climbing that irrational bandwagon and buying anything that is being said. And just the hate is swirling like this tornado. And there is no reasoning. There is nothing that one can say to people who have bought into that tornado, to point out the facts or to point out anything, because they can't hear you. They have gone completely dumb and deaf to any rationality at this point. They're just completely immersed in the hysteria, and at some point it will burn out, and they will just be left flattened and wonder what the hell has happened.
Well, that's what I call selling your soul.
Yes.
You have sold your soul when you're at that level.
Yeah.
When you are so determined to be right that everybody else is wrong and you are the only one that has You're the only one that can save the world. You're the only one that's right about everything. On some level, you sold your soul. And
Yep.
you can reclaim it. You can reclaim the soul at any time if you wake up to that fact, if you understand you did that.
Yes.
Not from a place of being guilted or shamed, but from a clarity. Oh my gosh, I did this to myself.
Yeah.
I allowed this to happen. And now, you know what? I'm learning this really is not the path for me. And I'm ready to shift it. I'm truly ready to surrender over to the love, the higher power, the higher wisdom that I know resides within me. Then you can reclaim your soul. But until you can be with that and understand that you're the one that said yes to it on some level, not to guilt or shame yourself, but to
own it.
come to the realization you can't heal what you don't own.
Right.
If you don't own it and can be with it and not beat yourself up for it, but to know that you, oh my gosh, I just became aware. I'm the one that said yes to this. That's a great thing to become aware of.
Yes. Because now it's not too late for you, is it? No, it is. It's the first step, and now there is hope for you. There is hope that you can change your life, that you can get onto this other path.
Yes.
But denial.
And this is the realization I had with the cancer.
Yes.
That I created the opening for that in my life. I created that. Nobody did it to me. You don't catch cancer.
Yeah.
I created the opening for cancer to take over in my body. And when I realized that, it was like, oh my goodness, how powerful am I to do that?
Yeah. Yes.
What if I do this?
Exactly. Exactly. If you can create a disease that can kill you, imagine what you can do that can heal you.
Yes. And to step over that line with that realization, forgive yourself if you must and need to for sure, and get on with it.
Right. But that's the point, isn't it? Is like, can any of us look back and go, you know, I really wish I'd been this positive then, or I really wish I knew that then. And the thing is, you didn't.
You didn't.
But somewhere along the line, you did make a choice. I mean, absolutely everybody I've interviewed that has come through the other side, despite what has happened to them, and some people have gone through hell. I mean, just the fact that they're still living with what they've gone through is utterly amazing. But they've stepped into being an inspiration, which is an invitation to others.
Yes.
If you can go through this and still stand tall today and say, I went through it and now I'm here in service or inspiration to others and how they can face these challenges in life. We look to ourselves. It's an invite to ourselves to look within ourselves and say, well, if they could find the courage, if they could find the strength, if they could place the value upon themselves, what's holding me back?
Right. Absolutely. And the only thing holding you back is your belief about yourself.
Yes.
Again, you're the guard at your own gate.
Yeah.
The reason that gate doesn't open to that enrichment that we talked about is that you're standing there guarding that gate, thinking it's somebody else that's holding the gate shut. Somebody perpetrated it upon you. Well, really, truly, nothing is perpetrated upon us without, again, I'll go back to, without our permission on some level, which is 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, unconscious.
Yeah.
We don't consciously say, oh, bring it on, give me cancer. Oh, bring it on, rape me.
Yeah.
Oh, bring it on, stab me with a knife. No, we don't. We do not. But on some level, we've said yes to that. On some level, we're going to experience that. Maybe it's a karmic thing. I'm not sure what it is for each person. I only know what it was for me. But that's something you can explore and you can shift and change and heal.
And the thing is, you are not only relatable, but you can also relate to other people who are in the struggle of this transition.
Yes, of course.
It's being, having empathy for people, which doesn't mean you're feeling sorry for them, but
No.
you're understanding what they're going through. You're understanding the struggles of going through it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is not easy to go through it. It's not easy to say, I've imposed this upon myself, and it is up to me to clear it out. It is up to me to walk this path and place value upon myself. But that's the part of the human journey, is to
Yes.
discover that strength and that courage, that self-love, and to understand that stepping into that is the reason you are here. To step into the higher elevation is the reason why you were put on this planet. And that when we do collectively, imagine the creativity, imagine what we would discover on the higher plane of consciousness, on the higher energy. It's extraordinary what we've learned even in the last 10, 20 years.
Oh, yes. And what we can create from there will be beyond I think, our current imagination.
Yes, exactly. I mean, totally out of this world,
Yes.
I mean, if we had this talk about third, fourth, and dimension, 20 years ago, we'll be locked up, coming to take you away, haha. And now it's become far more mainstream. And yeah, I look at the current situation as that, we're looking at the waters, and the waters are really tumultuous at the present moment. We're seeing kind of almost tidal waves, but that's part of the Haglas disruption, the cleansing, the clearing away of the old. But if
Yes,
you
the
look at
purging.
the current underneath is where we are all at. We're moving the current. We're moving the air. We're moving everything forward in order to cleanse away the old, the purging of the old system and paradigm, so that people can rise up. So whilst we're looking at this disruption going on in the world right now, it's not like, oh God, what are you doing to us? It is like, oh, thank you for stopping us from going even further, because
Yes.
now we have the opportunity to change directions.
Yes. Yes. I call it a healing crisis. We're going through a global healing crisis. And when you're going through a healing crisis, you are purging.
Yes.
You're purging, you're allowing everything to float to the top, if you will, so that you can cleanse it away.
Right.
And that's really how healing happens.
Yes.
You have to go through it. You walk through that fire, but on the other side of that fire that has burned away all of those false, erroneous beliefs and the patterns that you've carried from childhood or possibly even past lives, where you can clean that all up and release it. That's a healing crisis, and that's what we're in. And they're not fun to go through.
No.
There's no doubt about it.
Right.
And it takes a lot of courage to go through it, as you stated earlier.
Yeah.
But we are courageous souls. That's there inside of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just have to access that courage.
Give ourselves
Open up
permission.
to it.
Yes, give ourselves permission.
Yes.
You
and
are
call
the
it
hero
forth.
you're looking for. Right?
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
We're the savior
Yes.
that we think is outside of us.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, why do we get so drawn to the Supermans and everything else? Because we're looking for someone to save us. And at all times, it's within ourselves. And I'm glad you brought up past lives. I've had numerous past lives cleansed from me. Only then later to have somebody who does, cellular treatment to discover more past lives. And, one of them was a vow of poverty. For the last 50 lifetimes, and another was literally being tortured for being a spiritual being.
Yes.
Over and over again. And I knew that this lifetime was my awakening, the permission to come back into my purpose of what I originally came here to do. And so it was that permission to finally spread my wings and be me without the persecution. But you've got to be, this is the thing, the teacher will come when you are ready. You're going to meet people along your journey that will do what you think right now are peculiar things: cellular cleansing, aura cleansing, past life regression, and all of that type of thing. And the reason they're there is to release you of those past patterns that aren't just this lifetime. They're your DNA, your heritage, and your past life
Yes.
DNA. And we can't always do that on our own. And so somebody pops up into your life. Don't think this is weird. Just look at it as an invitation.
Absolutely. It's there for a
Yeah.
reason. You're being given an opportunity. And remember, you always choose
Yeah.
to say yes to it or no. And look at your reasoning or your intention for doing both.
Yes.
If you say yes, what is your intention behind the yes? And commit to that. Once you commit to it, it will move mountains. If you're saying no, what is your intention behind the no?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to look at that structure that wants you to stay stuck, that doesn't want you to admit that possibly you are powerful enough that you co-created the circumstances that allowed X to be present in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be willing to look at that. And earlier you talked about faith, and I want to share a little story, if I can, about faith and how important it is to trust
Yes.
and to remain faithful. When my husband and I decided to sell our house of 17 years, and this was 3 years ago, it'll be 3 years on November 15th this year, we had we sold it at a very good time, meaning that houses were selling for way more than their appraised price or their asking price.
Mm-hmm.
And we sold very quickly and sold for more money, which was really beautiful and very appreciated. But we sold very quickly, and we had about 2 weeks to find a new place to live. And we had been together, first separately and then together, envisioning the feeling, a place where we wanted to be. How did that feel being in that place? What did it make it feel like? Mm-hmm. And then we just would spend each day, a couple of times a day, about 5-10 minutes in that vision. And what was most important about that vision wasn't what the house looked like or the area, as much as how did it make us feel.
Yes.
And what we discovered, first we did it separately, that we pretty much envisioned the same thing. We were standing at a fence looking over a beautiful green pasture filled with horses. That was our vision. Mm-hmm. We had an idea of where we wanted to live, but we hadn't even had a chance to look at any place because we sold so quickly, and we had to be out in 2 weeks, which means we had to get packed and get out on top of finding a place to live. But what we did was we stayed in the faith and the trust that we could manifest this, that we were calling this particular situation forth. And we had a weekend free, and this was 1 week before we had to literally be out of the house, and we decided the area we wanted to live in, which was 4 hours by car where we were currently living. And we drove over, and we asked a realtor to show us some places that at first were for lease, so that we could make sure we get a lease, we lease for a year or two, make sure that's really where we want to be and the feeling is right, and then we wanted the option to be able to purchase. Mm-hmm. So we drive over, we meet with the realtor, and he shows us 4 or 5 places, and no, it didn't feel right. And then a girlfriend of mine, out of the blue, she emailed me a place that she had just seen on the internet in the same area we were looking, and she said, this feels right for you guys, take a look at it, see what you think. And sure enough, I opened the email up and opened up the picture of the house and sat with it for a moment, and there was something there. Mm-hmm. I felt it. So I got a hold of the owners, and I got a hold of the wife, her name was Sue, and said, we're moving. We have to move in about 10 days. We're looking to rent and possibly with an option to buy down the road. And I'm looking at your place right now on the internet, and we'd really like to come and see it, and we're coming over this weekend. And this was on a Wednesday, by the way. And she said, oh my goodness, is that picture still up? Because I've got 2 families already qualified to rent it. I've got the credit reports. I've got them already qualified. And she said, I don't want any pets. Do you have pets? And I said, yes, we have a little white dog and a little white cat. She goes, oh, no, we don't want pets. Anyway, and then she hesitated, and she said, I wonder why I haven't decided on that yet. And I laughed, and I said, because you're waiting for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of broke the ice. And sure enough, she said, okay, I'll tell you what. You guys can come and look at it on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And I said, we'll be there. We got here at 8:30. When we drove off the main road and down this dirt road for a ways, tree-lined on both sides, we looked at each other, and Rob said to me, I don't care if there's a igloo on the place. We're going to live here. And we laughed about that because the energy was absolutely the energy we'd been feeling. We drove up to the place. It was open. We were like two little kids running in and out of it, looking at the land, feeling the land under us, and we said, this is it. And they drove up a few minutes later, and she got out of the car, and she came over, and she gave me a hug. She said, I looked at you on the Internet. I see what you're doing for a living. We love what you're doing. We saw the video of you two. It was adorable. And she said, but why would you want to rent this place? Because she had seen pictures of the house we sold. Mm-hmm. We moved from a 3,000 square foot home, and it was all remodeled. It was beautiful, to a 1,800 square foot modular home on 5 acres. Mm-hmm. And we downsized a lot. Mm-hmm. And we said to her, we want it. And she said, you do? I mean, she was literally surprised that we would want it. And I said, but we have to bring our pets. And she goes, no problem. And we moved in 10 days later. We didn't sign a contract. We didn't give first or last month's rent. We gave them a check for the next month's rent right there, drove off, and came back 10 days later and moved in. And we absolutely love it here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is home. This feels like our true home on this planet right now. And it couldn't have worked out any more beautifully than what I shared with you.
Well, it's funny. Yeah?
Well, she thought she'd taken it off the market because she was sure she already had it rented.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, because it was clearly meant to be.
Yeah.
It was 3 years ago that I had a transition as well, and 3 years in October. And all my pets had died, and it was the first time in 37 and a half years that I could go and do something for me without being beholden to someone else or responsible. And I left Vancouver and went to Toronto to be with my daughter for a while to see if I can live in Toronto. She disappears every January into hot weather because she can't stand the Toronto, winters. And I found myself there at minus 36, and I thought, what the hell am I doing here? But I knew I could not go back to Vancouver. There was nowhere on the lower mainland that spoke to me anymore, and the island always has. And my daughter lives in Nanaimo, which is about an hour and a half away from Victoria. But I thought, no, I need to come to Victoria. And now, in end of October, actually, I've been here 2.5 years now, and I absolutely love it here. I go and see my son on the mainland. I really love to see all my friends and everything. I get on that ferry to come back, and I know I'm coming home. And there's something about the energy here. Mm-hmm. It's got water all around it. It's got trees all around it. Mm-hmm. It's just got such a great vibe, and it feels like home completely.
Yes. Isn't that beautiful how that works out?
Yeah.
And to have that faith and trust.
Yes.
That you're actually magnetizing to you through those emotions what you truly want that fills your heart, and stand in that no matter what. Stand in it. It will come to you, and it'll come to you at the perfect time.
But it's also, I wanted to have my own apartment here, and because I was, wasn't sure if I was going to stay here or not. I had 6 months in one place, which was disastrous, and then I found another place, and the lady then was 85. She's now 87. She still works. She still drives. She's stronger than I am. And I rented a couple of rooms off her with just her own furniture. And I thought, no, I really need my own furniture. I'm paying storage all the time. And then it just kind of came to me one day, just surrender. Move your furniture in here. And then still have storage, but move your furniture in here. You get on very well with her. You love the area. Everything about it's right. It's not time for you to have your own place. And, the other point of it is, even though she's 87 and got fantastic energy and everything else, short-term memory is definitely going. And so it was just surrender. And I moved my furniture in. I used to have a 4,000 square foot house and going down and down. And now I'm into about 400 square feet.
Yep.
If you saw
Yep.
how much furniture I have in here and in my
Yeah.
room.
Oh, funny.
But
But
it's my stuff
you
around me. Yeah.
trusted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it makes your heart sing. And
Yeah.
it isn't about the stuff.
No, no. Except for that it makes you feel at home. I've got all my books and albums around me, which is really important. And
Oh,
um
yes.
and it's just like, I surrendered, stopped looking. And of course now the amount of apartments that are up for rent. But it just clearly was not my time. And that's
Right.
the thing. I will have that one day. But at
Yes.
the present time, I'm meant to be here. And sometimes if things aren't working out the way you want to, they're working out the way they should do.
Absolutely. We're always in the right place. We're always everything is always right in our life
Right.
for what's unfolding. It's that conditioned ego doesn't want to accept
Right.
that.
Right.
Because it wants what it wants, the way it wants it, when it wants it, how it wants it, or it's not happy.
Right.
And the truth of it is that's the illusion that we've bought into and put a belief in that. But the truth is that whatever is unfolding in your life, folks, whatever it is for your listeners, maybe it's ill health, maybe it's a newborn baby, maybe it's a different type of situation where you're joy-filled and happy, and maybe it's a situation where you're suffering or you're struggling. Know that you're there for a reason.
Yes.
It's right for you to be there. Look at the rightness of it. Focus on what's right about it, because that will transform it.
Yes.
That fascination with what's right will transform all that other stuff, which most of it's just made up in the mind. Most of it's the conditioned ego,
Yes.
and it's not real. It's the illusion,
Yes.
or the delusion.
Right. And if you step back and look at life as a movie and you go, really, if I wrote this as a script, nobody's going to really believe people are that stupid.
Right.
You know?
That's correct. Yes.
They won't believe this plot.
Yeah.
Surely people can see through this. And we would look at that movie and just go, unbelievable. But we're looking at life right now and going, this is unbelievable. But what are we going to do about it? And we have to
Yeah.
understand we are the cure. We are the solution.
We are the answer.
We are the answer. And that everything we want has to come from the within us.
Yeah.
Because whatever we project out needs to be harmonious, needs to be on a higher energy in order to be the solution and the answer for this planet and this species on this planet.
Yes. And the time is ripe for it.
Absolutely.
We
I mean,
couldn't-
it's
we
beyond
couldn't
now.
make it any more riper than what we have
No.
it now, unless we burn down or flood out or exterminate ourselves.
Yes.
And if we need more, what's the word I'm looking for? If we need more suffering, we'll
Right.
get it.
Yes.
Believe me. We're going to get what we need in order to make this transition, or humanity quite possibly won't be here.
I 100% agree with you. This isn't something that needs to happen in the future. This is something that needed to happen in the past. We only have now. And now
Yeah.
while you're sitting there kind of moaning about your life and going, I don't know what to do. Well, understand this. If you don't do something, there won't be a world for you to do anything in. We have
Right.
been put on notice, and our behavior, it has been deplorable. And we are so much more than this. We were designed
Yes.
to be so much more than this. We were designed to work with the universe, to understand the universal energy, and us on this planet are extraordinary with what we can do. But we're behaving still like the Neanderthal. And,
Yes.
that barbaric way of treating each other. I mean, I, as a cosmic being, have looked at humans and the way they treat each other, and I'm appalled. Appalled.
Yes, appalled. And how we treat animals and
Yes.
how we treat Mother Earth.
Yes.
It is absolutely appalling. And
Yes.
how we treat ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
It's appalling.
Yes.
And it is time to move that on. We are way more than we know ourselves to be. And that's why getting to know the self,
Yeah.
tuning inward, spending time inward, breathing into our bodies, praying, asking for forgiveness if we feel that we need it, forgive others. All of those things are so key and so important in this timing now, to surrender it over and know that we're being heard. The universe is listening.
Are we? The universe is
Yes.
listening. Are we? Yeah. The thing is, please stop pointing your fingers everywhere else.
Yes.
We created the mess out there through our own vibration, and it's time to change tune. And it's time to change instrument and to understand that we are the solution if we are willing to step within ourselves and unravel ourselves. And one of this show is called Ignite Your Heart and Soul. And I think one of the big problems with people, if you're not connected to your heart, you're certainly not going to be connected to your soul. And there
Right.
seem to be so many people out there that have just disconnected from the heart. You cannot do the cruel things you do and have a heart.
No, you can't. And speaking from that heart place, if you're not connected to your heart, then you're living in absolute denial of who you are.
Uh-huh.
You have decided you're not the powerful, beautiful, magnificent being that you actually are. And so you're living an unnatural, completely unnatural life. And this is part of the reason I feel, Sarah, there's so much illness
Yes.
and disruption on the planet. Because
Dis-ease.
too many
Yeah.
millions, if not billions, of souls
Yeah.
have decided they're something other
Yes.
than what they actually are.
Yeah. Yes.
And they've lost themselves.
Completely. Yeah. They don't, I mean, the thing is, you must feel the knowledge, you must feel the love, you must feel your way through. And
Yeah.
we're thinking our way through, and we have, I mean, social media is wonderful, like any tool. The internet is incredible if used right. And that's the whole question, isn't it? There is a right and a wrong way to use it. If you're using it in a way of greed or taking advantage of people or to wish harm on people, then that's the negative way. If you're using it to inspire, to uplift, to inform, to spread more love and kindness, then that's the right way. We have the choice of what our actions are going to be. And if we buy in all the time to the negative way, because again, algorithm, the universe has an algorithm. It's going to respond to your algorithm. So does social media. Social media, if you're feeding the hate and the discord, it's going to give you more of that. If you
Yeah.
choose not to respond to that and only choose to respond to the solutioners, then the algorithm is going to give you more of those people. And the more of us that come together in harmony, weaving a wonderful blanket of love and collaboration and compassion and companionship, we can blanket that around others and ignite their own heart. But we've got to understand our journey is up to us. But then it's how we bring ourselves to the orchestra with our instrument collectively.
And when you think about heart disease,
Yes.
it's still the number one killer on the planet.
Yeah.
Think about that metaphysically. In other words, our hearts are shut down.
Yes.
When you shut down that particular chakra, it's going to have problems. That there's not the energy moving through it that is needed to sustain it, and it is going to become sick.
Yeah.
That's how we get illness in the body. We have these energy blocks. We have certain parts of the body that are blocked. The energy is not flowing. And when the energy doesn't flow, it's going to become It's already diseased. Diseased. It's going to become diseased.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the, if you will, the reflection of our thoughts and our emotions and, our patterns and our beliefs. All of that's in that cake mix.
Yep.
And you throw that into the mix, and that's what you get. You get a lot of illness patterns.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not natural for us to be ill. We think that's normal on this earth.
Right.
We think it's normal that we age as quickly as we age.
Yeah.
It's not normal. We're living not natural lives. We're living unnatural lives. When we live naturally, when we are naturally in our soul, in our heart, we live in collaboration and co-creation and community and love and joy and peace and compassion and generosity. Those are the high frequency places we live, that ways we can live when we're living naturally, when we're living the truth of who we are instead of the lie.
There are an awful lot of people right now that are having a 100th birthday, 116, 106. It's amazing of how many people in their late 90s and early 100s have actually survived COVID. And if you look at their lives, they live simply, they live gratefully, and they live with love in their hearts.
Yes, with lots of gratitude.
Yes.
Lots and lots of gratitude. If you don't live in gratitude, if you're not grateful for every single second of your life, regardless of your experience, it was there for a great purpose. If you can't be grateful for that, then you need to take a second look.
Yeah.
If you're living in regret, regret is carrying guilt.
Yes.
I call it the shoulds. Yes. I should have done this. I should have gone there. I should have married this person. I should have done that career. No. You shouldn't have done anything but what you did, because it goes right back to what we talked about earlier, about having the tools available at the time, the wisdom available at the time. We always make the best choices we can make at the time with what we have in our toolbox.
Exactly.
So if you're shooting all over yourself,
you're doing something else all over yourself as well.
Right, and you're harming yourself, and you're sending that vibration out into the cosmic vibration. You're adding that vibration to it as opposed to a higher vibration.
Yeah. I mean, when you walk into a room, if you're walking into like energy, you can feel that energy just grow and glow. It's wonderful.
Yes.
Then that one negative comes in, right?
Yes.
And in my own counseling, when I used to do it, I used to use the ruler effect. Your 6 to 12 are the people that have stepped into love and positivity. Your 4 to 6s are people that are in discovery of that. They're on the bridge. They're crossing over. But your 1 to 3 are your piranhas. They're the people that have chosen to stay in hate, to stay in loathing, to stay in the discord, and they're going to suck the life out of the 4 to 6s because they're vulnerable. And this is why you see so many people, they've made so much progress and then they suddenly fall back. And it's very, very important, very, very important that while you're going through this transition of going through the process of stepping into self-love, that you make sure that you are right around the right energy. Because
Yes.
if you're around the piranhas, they will suck any progress out of you. So it's very, very important that you disconnect from people that are negative and make sure you put yourself amongst people that are positive.
Yes. I have to tell you that my doctor and I had a doctor named Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez. He was an MD of immunology. He was in New York at the time. And he was guiding me on my physical program, what I would do for my physical body when I was going through cancer. And he sat me down the very first time I met with him, and he said, I'm going to put you on this program. I'm going to ask you to follow it 100%. And then I'm going to make a request that all the negative people in your life, including your family, those that are constantly complaining, those that are trying to control you, those that are telling you you're doing the wrong thing because they're afraid for you. Actually, they're just afraid for themselves. And he just went into that. He said, I'm going to ask you to step away from them at least for the next couple years. Can you do that? Are you willing to commit to that? And I said yes, and I followed through. And it included my parents for a couple of years, who were very negative about the program I was on, who were deeply, deeply disappointed and afraid that I wasn't doing chemotherapy and radiation, because I'd been given a year to live. Without that, they said, without that protocol, you won't last more than a year.
Fear, selling you the fear.
I stepped away. I didn't do it. I stepped away from it. I did all the inner work on my own, or on my own, meaning with my guides, my spirit, and those that I started attracting around me to help and support me. And I did the physical with Dr. Gonzalez, and I released the others. It was very difficult, but I'll tell you what, it was the right thing to do at that time, to not be associated with that negative energy all the time, dragging me, wanting to drag me back, as opposed to supporting me to move forward, was a lifesaver.
Yeah, literally.
And after that, some of those people I never reconnected with purposely.
Yes. Yes, I've been through my own journey of that and walked away from people. And some people decided to walk away from me because literally they said to me, you've become too positive.
Yes. In other words, you repelled them.
Yes, exactly. I actually did say to people, I have been here for you, because they, phone calls every week about how they're going to jump off a bridge. And I even told one of my friends, okay, tell me which bridge. She goes, what? I said, every week you call me to tell me you're going to jump off a bridge. Clearly, anything I say is not working. If you're hell-bent to jumping off a bridge, go ahead, tell me which bridge, and I'll make sure they get your body. Oh, I never, says she. And I said, obviously, I can't help you. The only person that can is you. And, and I had to let go of those people because they were the piranhas.
Yes.
They were there just to get their fix every week,
Yes, and when I stepped back into my family, I stepped back into my family with great awareness and wisdom, some wisdom about the choices I was making and how I would handle it. And I could only take them in small doses.
Yeah. Yes. I hear you.
Yes, and I was very careful about it and very committed to that.
Yes.
What I was committed to was myself.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I wasn't walking somebody else's path that they believed I should be walking.
Yes.
And should be doing this. And should be treating my parents this way. I was never disrespectful of them, but I was careful.
Yeah. I hear you. I've been the same with my family. And when I did step into myself, I understood from the true colors that their personality traits were so very different to mine that it was very hard for them to comprehend who I was.
Right.
But, I got the courage to say, you may not understand me, but understand this. I am me, and you can love me or not love me. That's your choice. But you have to love me for who I am.
Yes, good for you.
And that made a difference,
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it did. I never said those words. I don't think that those words came to me. However, that would have been great. But I did handle it in such a way that one of my brothers, when he was way too toxic to be around, that was it. I stepped away completely.
Yeah, and sometimes they come back. One of my relatives for a while I didn't have much to do with, and then she came back, and then one day she said something, and I just said, because she was in another country, and I just said, I will no longer talk to you or accept any of this drama from you until you're willing to change. And I put the phone down because she was the one to kind of scream and say something and put the phone down. And then she came back and said, I'm sorry. And I said, if you wish to converse with me in the future, these things are out of bounds.
Yep.
and I will not tolerate them. And we have a good relationship now. But I had to step up in my firmness
Of
of
course.
that. It's not about borders, but you can have boundaries. And your
Oh,
boundaries will
yes.
stop the negative energy from penetrating. I didn't
Yes.
take her negative energy on. I fed it back to her and said, I'm not having it.
Yep. And that's how we learn.
Yeah.
And with my brother, I love him from afar, and the
Yes.
door is open, but not unless or until
Yeah.
he shifts.
Yes, exactly. And he may never, or he
He may
may.
never.
The whole point is that is not your responsibility.
No.
You can send loving energy to him, and
Yes.
that's it. That's
Yep.
it.
Including in my prayers, I
Yes.
send love to him, and that's all I do.
Yeah.
And that's all that's needed.
Yes. Yes.
And the
We
rest is
can't
his
fix
choice.
everybody. That's the point. We're not here to fix people. We are. I mean, this is really what a true coach or guide is. We're here to show you we did it, to share the skills and the tools of how we did it.
Yes.
It's up to you to what you put in your backpack, to what you
Yep.
listen, and how you walk forward. And you're going to meet people along your journey that each have had their own journey and have a nugget for you. It's up to you whether you accept it and how you use it. So we're not here to fix people, but we're here to give people the tools and the encouragement to fix themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And that's really the true, I think, positioning of any healer or emotional spiritual coach.
Yeah.
Whatever you call yourself. We're not here as fixers. Nobody really needs fixing.
No.
We all need healing.
Yes.
And we're not here to heal you or fix you, but we are here to be a demonstration and to offer up what we learned as tools for you, and for you to take in what works for you and to just release what doesn't.
Exactly. Like we did. Right? And,
Yeah.
it's not for you to paint by numbers and do it every step we did, because that may not be a fit. But there may
That's
be
right.
some ingredient to what we did that you can apply that will help you along the way. And that's all there is to it. Well, we could carry on talking for hours because we clearly,
Yes, we could.
we could very easily. We'll have to have you back on again, most certainly. But will you let everybody know, how they can get hold of you for your own teachings, and also how they can tune into the Conscious Talk shows?
Yes. Conscious Talk is on Seattle's alternative talk station, and in this area, which reaches down to Portland, Oregon, and up to the Canadian border, is where it reaches, and that is on 11:50 a.m. on the dial. And we stream live off our site at conscioustalk.net. We also podcast each and every show on any of your podcast services. We podcast free off of Podcast One, and but you can download any podcast service that you use, and we're on there. We also archive all of our shows up to 2 years. They can be downloaded from our site, conscioustalk.net, for free. So those are the ways that you can access our radio show. For our healing work that we do, and we work both with humans and animals, you can call us. We have a phone number. It's 360-385-1909. My husband and I do distance healing. I do particularly spiritual and emotional coaching along with the healing work that we do. And of course, you don't have to be present to have a healing energetically done, because that energy's energy. It can go anywhere. So we have 99% of our clients now are over the phone or internet, Zoom, because of COVID.
Right.
So that's not a barrier. If you're thinking, oh, I have to be in your area, that's not true. And the number again is 360-385-1909, and it's on our website as well.
Excellent. Well, I encourage people to listen to your shows as well, because I know you have some wonderful people on there, but also to reach out, because if they reach out and have a chat with you, they'll know whether there's a synergy or not. And
Absolutely.
and I think when we're asking you to take this journey alone with yourself, but to let you know that you're not alone. There are plenty of people with the right energy that can help you along the way, not just with information and encouragement, but with their positive energy. So yes, you've got to walk this path on your own two legs, but you're supported along the way. And just to reach out to that support, the first step is asking for help.
Absolutely. And again, if they want to reach us at 360-385-1909, we do a 20-minute free consultation to see if you're the right fit for us and we're the right fit for you.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, this has been wonderful, love. As I said, we're certainly going to have you back on again. Let's hope next time we're talking about how much progress is actually happening out there in this awakening. That I think, let's have you back around Christmas and send out some festive cheer to everybody and how they can actually, navigate through in going into 2021, of how we can actually shift the energy of 2021 into a more positive vibe for everybody.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for asking me to be a guest on your wonderful, wonderful show, and I'm going to share your show with all of our listening audience as well.
Bless you. Wonderful. Well, as I said, I could talk to you for hours. So much to learn, and just the wonderful flow of your energy. And I know anybody listening to this today is just going to have a really warm feeling in their hearts afterwards. So thank you so much for sharing with us, love.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you.
And remember, folks out there, yes, you've got to decide. You've got to make the choice that you're not going to feed the negative anymore, that you want to feed the positive. You don't know how? Well, then you can call her at 360-385-1909. You can listen to their shows, Conscious Talk Radio, and the podcasts and everything else. You're not alone. At the fingertips of people who have gone through it, and they're there helping you through it too. You've just got to take the first step. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to bringing you more shows. Please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows and you will see the incredible lineup of genres and shows that we have for you. We are here to make a difference in your life. Thank you for listening.